I always thought after 10 years of marriage, I knew my husband completely. His habits, his little quirks, the way he liked his coffee just right, or how he hummed under his breath when he worked on something in the garage. I thought I knew his mind and heart better than anyone. That's why the night he looked me in the eye and suggested something so unbelievable, I felt my world tilt in a way I wasn't prepared for. It had been an ordinary Thursday. I was exhausted from work, juggling a demanding job as a project manager, while also keeping up with our two kids, Michael and Emma. My husband, David, had come home earlier than me, which was unusual because he was normally the last one in. I noticed something about him right away. His energy was calm but serious, almost like he was preparing himself for something important. I busied myself in the kitchen, cooking dinner while the kids did their homework at the table. David came in quietly, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and whispered, "After the kids go to bed, can we talk? There's something I've been thinking about." Those words stuck with me through dinner, dishes, bedtime routines, and the constant chaos that comes with parenthood. 1,000 possibilities ran through my mind. Was it about work? Was something wrong? Or worse, was he unhappy with us, unhappy with me? Finally, after the kids were tucked in and the house was quiet, David came into the living room with 2 cups of tea. He sat across from me, his expression unreadable, and for a moment, I felt nervous, almost like we were strangers again. "Laura," he said softly, "you know how much I love our life together, right? And how grateful I am for you and the kids." My heart thudded in my chest. I nodded, clutching my mug. "Of course. But what's going on, David? You're scaring me." He chuckled nervously, running a hand through his dark hair. "I don't mean to scare you. It's just, I've been thinking, what if we did something different? Something that would completely change our future?" I stared at him. Different how? Like moving? Changing jobs? He took a deep breath and leaned forward. "What if we sold everything and traveled the country together? Took the kids out of school for a year and showed them the world in ways books can't teach? What if we lived life differently, without the routines and the constant rush?" I blinked, my jaw dropping. That was the last thing I had expected. Travel? Like full-time? No house. No stability. "Yes," he said, his eyes shining with excitement. "Think about it, Laura. We'd have time as a family. We'd see places we've only dreamed about. The kids would learn more than any classroom could teach them. And maybe, just maybe, we'd find a new way of living that feels more like us." For a long moment, I didn't say anything. My heart raced, my mind torn between fear and intrigue. Part of me longed for adventure, but another part of me clung to the safety of our routines. The mortgage, the kids' school, our jobs. All the practical pieces screamed at me to say no. Yet, I saw the fire in his eyes, the sincerity in his voice, and I realized this wasn't just a wild idea. It was something he truly wanted us to consider. That night, I barely slept. I tossed and turned, imagining what it would mean to let go of the life we had built. What would my parents say? What would happen to my career? Could I really homeschool the kids? But mixed in with the anxiety was a spark of curiosity. Over the next week, David and I talked endlessly about it. At the dinner table late at night, in the car, we dissected every possibility. He showed me blogs of families who had done the same thing. He drew out budgets and travel routes. And slowly, my resistance began to soften. I remember one evening in particular. We went for a walk in the park near our home, the kids running ahead of us, laughter echoing through the air. David slipped his hand into mine and said, "When we're old, do you want to look back and say we played it safe? Or do you want to say we lived fully?" That question hit me hard. My father had always been practical, cautious, unwilling to take risks. My mother, on the other hand, used to tell me stories of how she wished they had traveled more, taken more chances, lived more boldly. I carried that memory with me into the night. I began journaling, pouring my fears and hopes onto the page. I listed pros and cons, and then tore the paper in frustration because life wasn't that simple. I sought advice from my mom over coffee one afternoon. She listened quietly, then smiled gently. "Honey, Sometimes unbelievable ideas are the ones that change our lives for the better. You don't have to decide today, but don't let fear make the choice for you. Her words stayed with me. Weeks passed, and the idea no longer felt like an impossible dream. We sat at the kitchen table one night with maps spread out, calculating routes, costs, and logistics. Michael and Emma, overhearing us, joined in with their wide-eyed enthusiasm. Emma wanted to see the Grand Canyon. Michael begged to visit Washington, D.C. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about fear anymore. It was about possibility. The night David first suggested it, I thought he had lost his mind. But now, months later, we had a plan in motion. We sold the house. I arranged for remote work while homeschooling the kids. David fixed up an RV, pouring every ounce of his skill and excitement into making it a home on wheels. When we finally hit the road, I felt a mixture of terror and exhilaration. The familiar comforts were gone, but in their place was something new, freedom. And as the weeks turned into months, I realized my husband's unbelievable suggestion had been a gift. We grew closer as a family, faced challenges together, and saw beauty we would have otherwise missed. Looking back now, I'm grateful he had the courage to bring it up that night. Sometimes the most unbelievable ideas are the ones that save us from living a life of quiet repetition. Sometimes they're the beginning of a story you'll tell forever.